Just 4 short weeks ago, we wrapped up the 2020 iRacing.com World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car World Championship Series at Charlotte, where we saw Alex Bergeron claim his second series championship in a row. But tonight, we start all over again. It's the preseason Thunder event for the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series. The series that was so hotly contested last year that the points championship came down to the last race of the year and saw 3 drivers within 15 points of each other. And in the end, it was Blake Majulis coming out on top and scoring the $10,000 top prize. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Volusia Speedway Park, the home of the Dirt Car Nationals, and tonight, the site for the preseason Thunder event for the iRacing.com World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series here on the iRacing Esports Network. My name is Chase Rodman alongside Justin Prince. And Justin, this series last year, 10 races, and we saw 7 different winners. And with some new faces added to the mix after the qualifying series, I think it's safe to say that this series this year is competitive enough to maybe see 10 different winners in 10 races. I'm really excited to see what can happen here tonight at Volusia.
This is going to be an absolutely entertaining season. Absolutely, Chase. We were talking about this a little bit before tonight. 16 different rookies enter tonight. 1 Australian, 15 American drivers. All set to face 9 different tracks over the course of 10 weeks during the regular season, starting here at Volusia next week. But this is an important preseason event, mind you, to make sure you have pace and you're all set to go for when the points start getting paid out and the standings try and matter towards victory lane.
You see the schedule right there tonight, an exhibition race, no points on the line. Just a practice race to see where everybody's at here tonight at Volusia Speedway Park. Next Monday night, same place, same time. That is the first points-paying event of the season. Then we head off to the newest dirt track on the iRacing service, the Lernerville Speedway in Sarver, Pennsylvania, the only track that we go to twice on the year. Then we head to Ohio, Limeland Motorsports Park, also out there in Ohio, Eldora Speedway right after that. Then back to Lernerville, Kokomo Speedway in Indiana, Fairbury American Legion Speedway in Illinois, Knoxville Raceway in Iowa, Williams Grove Speedway in Pennsylvania, and cap it off at the dirt track at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Justin, just some of the most important dirt tracks in the country right there on that 10-race schedule.
And they put on some absolutely great racing with the sprint cars, but keep in mind, the late models drive completely differently. The racing's going to be completely different. And as we talked about, it was competitive in 2019, 2020 in this format. Also going to be very competitive, especially since there's an extra 15 laps some of these drivers who carried over from the sprint cars will have to deal with for the feature race for the late models this season.
And here's how the event format looks. It's going to be heat race action, 4 heat races, 8 laps in distance. The top 4 in each heat race will move on to the A main event. We'll also have 2 consolation races or 2 B main events, 10 laps in distance, and the top 2 finishers in that one will move into the A main event. Then after that, we'll have a 50-lap, 20-driver feature race. Well, tonight it will not pay the normal purse, but every race after this one will pay $300 to win, $100 for third, and $200 for second. I said that backwards a little bit there, but and then you see the championship winnings right there, $10,000 to the champion. And if it's anything like last year, you also get a ride in a Clint Boyer dirt late model at the Charlotte Motor Speedway dirt track, which is what Blake Majulis, last year's champion, got to do. You see the rest of the points paying out right there. Second place, $4,000. Third place, $2,000. Fourth place, $1,000. And fifth to $500, and then all the way down to 10th place, $100. A great payout there for the top 10 feature finishers in this series in 2020, Justin.
And that shows, again, that every single race, drivers are going to be fighting on the line, of course, not just for the points, but as well for a chance to get part of those feature race dollar totals inside the top 3, as well as to be one of those drivers with a chance to try that late mode, as well as be at the championship banquet for the World of Outlaws. Here's a look, though, of how the points will structure here for this campaign.
And we saw this so important during the NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car portion. These points, every point counts. What we saw last season there with the Sprint Cars came down to the final race between Alex Bergeron, David Heilemann, and James Edens. 8 points to win a heat race this evening, with 1 point being awarded to 8th place in the heat race. Then you see the feature points, 70 points to win the main event, with 23 if you finish dead last, 20th place in the main event. So a grand total of 78 points can be scored in one night of action here with the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series. A little bit different compared to the first season there, Justin, where we actually had points awarded in qualifying, and they did away with that here for this second season, which I think is a great idea. So just 78 points could be scored as far as the maximum points throughout a night here.
And it puts a lot of pressure, Chase, as well, to make it to a feature race. When talking to a lot of drivers during the sprint car side of things, that was the goal each and every week. Get into the feature race, get the max amount of points by running in that feature. It's hard to try win a championship if you miss even a couple feature races. So the pressure's going to be definitely on for these drivers once the points get starting to get paid. And there's a lot of pressure about tonight because of that, Chase. This is the chance here, Chase, for drivers to test where their cars are at for when they go to Volusia next week, as well as to adjust to how the track may have changed and how the cars may have changed via iRacing builds the past couple weeks.
Yeah, tonight, very important for a lot of these drivers, especially those 16 rookies that you were talking about that made it in through the qualifying series. We talked about the tight points battle that happened in this series last year between, it was Blake Majulis, his teammate Kendall Tucker, and Alex Bergeron, who were the top 3 guys in the championship standings last year. Kevin Dedman, Evan C., Dylan Hauser, Blake Cannon, Steven Wilson, Shad Prescott, and 2018 series champion Zach Leon Hardy rounded out the top 10. And some of the drivers coming into this series in
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely competitive, Chase, to say the very least, with many of these top drivers back this season. Majulis in the field tonight and ready for this preseason event. Tucker in the field tonight, coming over from good momentum in the sprint cars. Others, they've had a lot of time to practice as we take a look at how these drivers will line up for heat race number 1.
Yeah, heat race number 1 is on the racetrack right now, and it's going to be James Edens turning in the fastest qualifying lap here tonight. He will be on the pole of heat race number 1. To the outside of him, the 007, a veteran in the series, Jacob Fields. Row number 2 is going to be a pair of teammates there, the 07 of Hayden Cardwell, and making his series debut here tonight, the 49 car of Joel Berkeley. Row number 3, the 24 car of Daniel Cummings Jr., and to the outside, the 6 of CJ Phillips, with row number 4 seeing the 16 of Grant Riles and the 11 of Blake Brown. So a good mix of veterans here in heat race number 1, and a good mix of drivers making their first ever start with the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series here on iRacing.com.
And this is going to be very interesting how these drivers race in this first heat race. Keep in mind, just one driver in the field has won at this track. Out of the multiple times, there have been dates here. 5 different times in the series' history have these drivers raced at this track. Only Hayden Cardwell is in the current field for 2020. Keep an eye on him in the 3rd position for this heat. He was the quickest driver in an open practice organized by the drivers in preparation for tonight, the fastest in final open practice, as well as the fastest in warm-ups prior to qualifying.
Hayden Cardwell, in my opinion, Justin, has got to be the guy to watch for here in 2020 to maybe win the championship with this series. Last year, he won a race within the first 3 races of the season, but then had something go wrong, and he was not allowed to participate the rest of the year. Keep your eye on that Slick Sim Sport number 07 all year long. Hayden Cardwell, one of the best drivers on dirt, whether it's sprint cars or late models, here on the iRacing service. But how about James Edens there, Justin? A 5-time winner with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series just a few weeks ago. He ended up 3rd in points, and James Edens, after a couple of connection issues and some other things that went wrong throughout the season, he is looking to maybe win this championship in 2020. The 52 car of Edens for Swindell Speed Lab. He is one of the top drivers on iRacing Sim. He was a pro driver last year, Justin, with the wing sprint cars, the late models, and the non-wing sprint cars for the USAC side of things. One of just 3 drivers that was able to participate in all 3 of the championship series. As the pace truck pulls off, we're ready for heat race number 1 tonight at the Volusia Speedway Park. Green flags in the air, we're underway.
Off into turn 1 for the first time in the preseason. Edens brings them along the bottom side. Cardwell as well as Fields along the bottom side. Side by side starts around 4. Berkeley trying to hold on the top side. Daniel Cummings Jr. trying to move him out of the way. Shuffles him back up to the top line. 3 wide off of turn 4. More cars get bumped. First lap lead goes to Edens.
Berkeley pancakes the wall right there on the front straightaway, loses another spot to the number 6 car, CJ Phillips. Phillips up to 5th now, and he's 1 spot out of a transfer. Remember, 8 laps in these heat races, Justin. Only the top 4 will move into the feature. The rest of them will have to come out of a B main event. Currently in 4th, it's Daniel Cummings Jr., but up front, pulling away by 3 car lengths, the 52 car of James Edens from Santa Rosa, California.
And this is already an improvement from 2019. Just 2 laps led for Edens in that campaign. Adding on to some of those totals for when potentially they get to the real world track and the real world points coming up next week. A good showing so far on the bottom of the racetrack, pulling away by a couple car lengths to Cardwell, halfway this time by.
James Edens leads it here on lap number 5, followed by Hayden Cardwell. 3rd spot is Jacob Fields. 4th is now CJ Phillips. He made it by Daniel Cummings Jr. that last time by the line. So Phillips now up to 4th, and Cummings has to get back up on the wheel here, get the elbows up, try and make it back by CJ Phillips. He's all over him down the front straightaway as they come by that time by 3 laps to go. And Cummings and Phillips going at it for this 3rd spot. It's not quite over, the 4th spot. That battle's not quite over yet here, Justin.
Still looking to scrap. Cummings trying to change up the line a little bit more towards a half a lane up the track. Gets a bit of a run. Phillips able to block it off. 2 laps to go in heat race number 1. Phillips back along the bottom of the racetrack. Cummings still trying that middle line. Still cannot get it to work. White flag coming up this time by for Edens and company.
Cummings very, very close right there on the rear bumper of CJ Phillips. One more time around the Volusia Speedway Park here for heat race number 1. Cummings looking to the outside. He pulls up alongside of him off of number 2 down the back straightaway. Here comes Cummings down the back straightaway. Might have a move here in turns 3 and 4. The race for the final transfer spot off the 4th corner. Cummings pulls up next to him, and at the line, it's going to be a photo finish, but it looks like it's going to be CJ Phillips hanging on to the 4th spot. What a race there for that final transfer there, JP.
Came down to about a couple 100ths of a second, 4 100ths of a second to be precise. Edens, Cardwell, Fields, and Phillips all move on. Cummings Jr., Riles, along with Berkeley and Brown, will have to go through the LCQ chase.
Heat race number 2's come out of the racetrack now, and on the pole, the winner of the qualifying series to get the pro license for this championship series, the 80 car of Dylan Wilson. And outside of him is the 71 car of Cole Cabry. Row 2, it's where you're going to find your defending series champion, the 127 of Blake Majulis, and alongside of him, the 2 car of Dylan Hauser. Row number 3 on the inside, it's Davin Cardwell. That's the cousin of Hayden Cardwell in the 70 car. And finished up 4th in the points last year, the 000 car of Kevin Dedman. Row number 4, it's going to be the 88 car of Brian Wayat Jr. and the 44 car of Blake Cannon, who was a winner with this series last year at the Limeland Motorsports Park. He will roll off from the 8th starting spot in that number 44 car for Swindell Speed Live Esports. So Blake Cannon, a lot of work to do. Actually, quite a few drivers that it looks like almost every driver, with the exception of maybe 2 of them, are veterans of the series that are returning after their campaign in 2019 here.
Yeah, and we talked about the qualifier a little bit as well, Chase, before tonight. With that, a lot of drivers have the chance to qualify their way in by going through the highest level open competition for the Super Late Models. Dylan Wilson ended up coming away with that points championship. In fact, outscoring Cardwell, Majulis, and a few other drivers on the way to 6 victories in just 16 starts. So he's got some good speed in that dirt racing machine. The question's going to be, how will that carry over to the Pro Series in about a couple weeks or so?
Well, so far it's been pretty good, as he is went second quick so far tonight in the preseason Thunder event, and that will line him up on the pole of heat race number 2. Remember, where you finish out in the heat race, so James Edens, he won heat race number 1. He will be on the pole of the feature. Whoever wins heat race number 2 will be on the outside of the front row. If this is your first time watching one of these broadcasts, that's kind of how the format works out here, as the pace car will pull off this time by off of turn number 4, and we'll get ready for the second heat race. 8 laps in distance. You have to be inside the top 4 to make it straight into the main event. It's going to be Wilson, Cole Cabry, and then behind them, Blake Majulis and Dylan Hauser. So a couple of big names there on the second row. Green flag is in the air, and a great start on the outside line for Cole Cabry. He's going to lead the field into turn number 1.
All the drivers side by side, 2 to 3 wide amongst the group. Majulis trying to peek to the bottom side. Wilson trying to push Cabry up the track. Here comes the slide for the 80. Gets clear for the moment. Tries to slide up. Cabry tries to cross him over. Squeezes through Majulis as they bump back.
Oh! And lots of contact. Cole Cabry goes around. He nearly had the car saved, but got finished off by Dylan Hauser. I have no idea, Justin, how the 80 car of Dylan Wilson hung on to that one. Doesn't have a whole lot of damage. He continues on with the race lead car number 80. Behind him, Blake Majulis, Kevin Dedman, and in the 4th spot, it looks like it's Davin Cardwell, who maintains the final transfer down the back straightaway.
Still going to be interesting for these next 5 laps or so. The top 3 electing all right along the inside wall. Cardwell trying to use the middle line. Hauser trying to close on into the number 70. Cardwell looking to take away 3rd. Dedman gives him the space. Moves off the bottom of the track. Here comes the run for Cardwell as the number 70 moves up into P3.
Great move by Davin Cardwell up the racetrack. Now Kevin Dedman turns it back down to the inside, trying to reclaim that 3rd spot. Meanwhile, here comes the 2 car of Dylan Hauser, who was a winner a couple weeks back with the World of Outlaws and NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. Hauser, we talked to him after that race, and he said he thinks he's got a fantastic race car. He thinks he can compete for the championship here with the late models in 2020. He needs to get by Kevin Dedman here if he wants to make it into the feature event out of the heat race, as he closes in on him down the back straightaway. Going to be a great battle coming up between the 000 and the 2 cars. They work through 3 and 4.
2 laps to go. Hauser spent the past 3 weeks relearning the late models, rebuilding all his setups for this campaign. Now is trying to get himself into his first feature in the preseason. Contact with the back end of the 000. Dedman with the run down the back. Hauser nearly smacks the wall. Cannon makes the pass on the inside, takes away 5th. Hauser with a crossover back to the white flag.
Hauser gets back by Blake Cannon right there. That's the battle for the 5th spot. And Kevin Dedman has run away with this one in that 4th position. But up front, your race leader, the 80 car of Dylan Wilson, coming around for the checkered flag this time by. And Wilson will get the victory here in heat race number 2. 2nd will go to Blake Majulis. 3rd to Davin Cardwell. And Kevin Dedman will end up in the 4th and final transfer. And a costly mistake for the number 2 car of Dylan Hauser. He'll end up in the 6th spot with Blake Cannon 5th, and then Cole Cabry in 8th, Brian Wayat Jr. 7th. I kind of had that backwards there, but interesting stuff there in heat race number 2 there, JP.
Very thrilling racing, especially that battle for the final transfer spot. But it just shows if you make a mistake, you put yourself in trouble. But heat race number 3 is a chance for a next group of drivers to lock themselves in.
And here we go, heat race number 3 on the pole. This one, the 33 car of Evan C. And on the outside of him, a newcomer to the series, the 14 car of J.D. Brown out of Bakersfield, California. Run number 2 on the inside, the 3 of Shane James. And on the outside of him, the number 9 car of Tyler Ducharme. Row 3 to 25 of Zach McSwain. And the 46 46 car of Dylan Rafferty. And final starter in this one will be the 157 car of Drew Hopkins. So seeing a lot of new faces here in this third heat race, which is a little bit different from what we saw in that second heat race. We saw a lot of veterans, but here in this one, a lot of newcomers here and a lot of guys to maybe make a name for themselves here in this preseason event, maybe show that they belong here in this series and they might be running up front here throughout this 10-race series.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting which drivers can carry their speed they've shown in various different parts of the service to tonight's action. For example, J.D. Hollywood Brown, I've caught a few races with him across the service on the dirt tracks. He's always a staple inside the top 5 with these late models. We'll see if he's able to carry that Hollywood star power into tonight's preseason Thunder Heat.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see here. A couple drivers here in this heat race. Actually, only one of them competed along with the World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. That was the 9 of Tyler Ducharme, who nearly got a victory in that series at the Lernerville Speedway before flying off the racetrack. So Ducharme, one of the many drivers here running double duty with the World of Outlaws. Green flag is out, and we are underway. Evan C., the 33 car, will jump out with the race lead behind him. A side-by-side battle for the second spot. The 3 car of Shane James on the inside, and on the outside is the 14 car of J.D. Brown as they work through 3 and 4.
Still side by side for the second position. Tyler Ducharme trying to poke his nose in now for the third spot. James still elected at the bottom side. Group starting to move up to the middle line in the middle of 1 and 2. That becomes the fast line. 6 of the 7 drivers in this heat using the middle line now in 3 and 4. Ducharme with a run takes away third.
Good battle for that third spot. Now the 25 car of Zach McSwain sees the door open, and he's going to try and work to the outside of Shane James as they come off of turn number 2 and up the back straightaway. The 25 car of McSwain trying to find a way by. Now the 3 car of James drives it in deep, nearly clears the 9 car of Tyler Ducharme. Ducharme drives back around the outside to retain that third spot, but a great race for fourth as here comes McSwain to the outside of Shane James for that fourth position.
3 wide now for second. Ducharme forced to check up in the middle line. Once more on the squeeze. Halfway this time by. Here comes Zach McSwain now with a run. The Slick Sim Sport machine tries to get the squeeze. Follows along the 4 other drivers in front of him. Shane's still stuck on the bottom side. Rafferty trying to close up the gap behind as McSwain once again with the squeeze in 3.
Yeah, Shane James stuck down on the bottom. Looks like the top of the racetrack is where you want to be right now as the 25 car of Zach McSwain finally clears him off the 4th corner. 3 laps to go that time by the stripe here in heat race number 3 at the Volusia Speedway Park. Shane James trying to get back up to the 25 car of Zach McSwain. He keeps his 3 car glued to the bottom of the racetrack right around that inside wall. Not able to get the grip there to get by the 25 car. A little bit of a connection issue for your race leader, Evan C., but he keeps on going. The white flag will be displayed this time by the stripe.
The youngster still in decent position, though, coming to this white flag. Brown in second, Ducharme third, McSwain in the final transfer spot. James now up to that middle line. We'll see if he's able to try and reach back in. McSwain tries to go for the slide underneath Ducharme in 1 and 2. He slides all the way up. Can't get to the 9. Still side by side, though, for the third spot. Ducharme gives the squeeze back to the bottom side of the defense. Checkered flag up in the air.
And Evan C. will get the win in heat race number 3. J.D. Brown will come home in the second spot. The 9 of Tyler Ducharme in third. Zach McSwain fourth. And then behind him, it appears to be the number 3 car of Shane James, the 46 of Dylan Rafferty, and the 157 of Drew Hopkins will come home in the 7th spot. And you see these guys fighting real hard for one of those spots inside the transfers there, Justin. Every spot you gain in the heat race inside the top 4 will gain you 4 positions on the A-main starting grid. So every spot you can get is going to be pay huge dividends for you come feature time.
Yeah, you have to think about it this way. 4 heats, 1 position essentially means 4 or 5 grid slots for the feature race. So that's why drivers are racing so hard, even if they're in a transfer spot, to try and get that extra position, to get that extra bit of track position for the feature race tonight.
Heat race number 4 on the track now is going to feature 2 of your championship contenders from the last season in 2019. Alex Bergeron will be on the pole in this one, fresh off that 2020 World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Championship. Alongside of him is Austin Carr. Run number 2, second place in the championship last year, the 00 of Kendall Tucker, and the 112 of Devin Morgan will start to his outside. Run number 3, the 311 of Austin Matthews, and a driver that some of you are familiar with if you're a regular tuner, person that tunes into these broadcasts, the 23 car of Casey Kerwin. who is a driver in the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. And then Steven Wilson, the 32 car, will round out the field. So 7 drivers, once again, going for 4 spots, the final heat race of the night. And this track, as you can see there, Justin, starting to slick off a little bit more and a little bit more with every lap that gets ran on it.
Yeah, I was talking again a little bit before today with Dylan Hauser, and the lines are completely different to what you've seen in the sprint cars if you tune in during the sprint time. The cushion was the fastest line for a lot of drivers in those races here at Volusia. With the late models, it's different. We've seen them work from the bottom side. That middle line, as to be expected, has worked its way in, though. That is also one of the quickest lines of the racetrack as this event progresses. So I think at this point, you have to be able to adapt with how you drive your lines. Remember, it's not like with the sprint cars where you're able to adjust a part of your car. You don't have that ability with the late models.
Great point right there, Justin. I didn't even think about that. You know, obviously the sprint cars at the top wing to try and tighten the race car up as the green flag is out here, and we're underway with the final heat races of the night. It's going to be Alex Bergeron jumping out with the race lead. He'll slide up the banking right in front of the number 1 car of Austin Carr. They work down the back straightaway, nose to tail for the top 6 drivers. Now Carr looking to the inside for the race lead, side by side out the 4th corner, and almost contact off turn number 4. That's going to allow Kendall Tucker to make a 3-car race contact for the race lead there, JP.
Still battling up towards the front, though. Second spot up for grabs. Bergeron on the top side. Tucker on the bottom tries to slide up into second. Takes away P. Number 2 slides up to the middle line. Bergeron tries to go for the crossover. Gets some good burst of speed. Tries to give the squeeze. He tries to go for the slight jump back in turn 2. Still stuck on the bottom side, though. Tucker with the low momentum as they continue to scrap behind them for the final transfer spot.
Tucker and Bergeron have a history of running into each other in multiple events, whether it's these World of Outlaws Championship Series or other high-paying events. These drivers really are not very friendly with one another, so don't be surprised to see some contact between the 12 and the 00 car. For now, they are playing it safe, trying to keep it clean inside those transfer spots. 4th is the 112 of Devin Morgan, and then behind him, 3 wide for 5th contact down the straightaway between, looks like Steven Wilson and the 311 of Austin Matthews, and Wilson will escape with the 5th spot for now.
Yeah, these drivers have been having an absolute wrestling match amongst these drivers. Kerwin, part of the eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series on the bottom side. Wilson trying to race his way into that as well on the oval side. On the top side, still hasn't been able to get clear. Finally does, but the damage has been done. They went from 1 car length back of Devin Morgan to now more than 6.
Yeah, the 32 car, Steven Wilson's really going to need a miracle here if he wants to track down the 112 of Devin Morgan. And you see Morgan trying the bottom of the racetrack there in 1 and 2. He takes a peek to the inside of Alex Bergeron, but Bergeron has that momentum from the high side to maintain 3rd. But up front, the 1 car of Austin Carr doing a fantastic job. He just saw the white flag. He's got 1 more trip around, and he's going to be a heat race winner here tonight, JP.
Austin Carr, one of the top super late model drivers in the entire iRacing service, coming through 3 and 4. Dominates heat race number 4. He wins heat race number 4 and moves on to the feature race. Kendall Tucker, Alex Bergeron, and newcomer Devin Morgan all move on.
Devin Morgan ends up 4th there. 5th spot was Steven Wilson. 6th went to Casey Kerwin in the 23 car. And then behind him, 1 other driver. That was, I believe... that was Austin Matthews, who rounded out the field there in the 7th spot, just like that. That's my favorite part about this series here, Justin. We don't waste any time, man. We are already working on the first B main event. 10 laps will be the distance here, and the top 2 drivers out of this will move on to the feature event, and they will line up in the 17th and 18th positions. It's going to be Daniel Cummings Jr. on the front row. Alongside of him is the 3 of Shane James. Row number 2, it's going to be the 16 car of Grant Riles, and outside of Riles, the 46 of Dylan Rafferty. Row 3, a newcomer to the series, but not a newcomer to the World Championships. Joel Berkeley, a veteran in the Sprint Car Series, and to the outside of him, the 157 car of Drew Hopkins, and final starter, the 11 of Blake Brown. So 7 drivers going for 2 spots, 10 laps here, and we saw a couple of these drivers, usually in these B mains there, Justin, is where you see some guys that were maybe having good runs in the heat race, but ran into some trouble late in the going and kind of got shuffled out of the mix here, and now they have to try and run themselves through one of these B mains.
And the perfect example, I think, is Berkeley. Remember, was in a transfer spot early in his heat race, then got shuffled off that bottom line when that was the dominant line early in the event tonight. Dropped 3-4 positions, including in a 3-wide situation. Guess what? He's now in the back half of the field for this LCQ. So he's now going to have a difficult time trying to make sure he's in one of those top 2 transfer positions to lock them into the future tonight, because Cummings showed speed, James showed speed once he got up to the middle line, and Rafferty also showed speed, just didn't have enough time to reach the back end of the transfer spot battle.
And Berkeley's got some great teammates alongside of him here for this series. Guys like Zach McSwain. He's got Tyler Ducharme. He's got guys like Dylan Hauser and Hayden Cardwell. So hopefully they will try and help him out here in that 49 car. Berkeley, no stranger to coming up through the field out of a B main. Green flag is in the air. And the number 26 machine, or the 24 machine, I should say, of Daniel Cummings Jr. will jump out with the early race lead over Shane James. And a great side-by-side battle for third. Here comes Berkeley looking the inside of the 16 car of Grant Riles.
Trying to get clear, just can't get the pass done in the 49 machine. Back to single file for the top 4 drivers. Middle line, the line in this LCQ. Pulling off and away at the front, Daniel Cummings by 3 car lengths. James in second. Still Berkeley trying to get some track position, trying to reel them on in. Still can't get by Grant.
Yeah, Grant Riles are really good on the outside groove right now, and Berkeley knows that he's got to try something different. He can't pass anybody if he's going to follow them in the same line that they're already running, so Berkeley's going to try the bottom. He's going to do everything he can to try and get by him for the third spot. Pulls up alongside of him in the center of turns 3 and 4, but can't quite make the pass here. But meanwhile, up front, the 3 car of Shane James, he's looking for a little insurance here. He does not want to be on the bubble spot here, JP. He's going to try and do everything he can to get by the 24 car of Daniel Cummings Jr. for the race lead here.
He's trying to run off and close on in. 6 laps to go in this LCQ for the top 2. James has now closed up the gap by a car length. Behind them, they're still side by side, but the focus for him is on Cummings. Cummings and James matching line for line in 3 and 4 once again. Gains a little bit of speed, though, off the corner exit. Still can't eat to the deficit interval directly quite yet with 5 to go.
And the 16 of Grant Riles is loving what he's seeing in front of him. He knows that 3 car Shane James is probably getting a little flustered right now, and he knows he's got to go. The 16 of Riles tries the bottom here in 3 and 4. It's starting to get pretty slick down there. A little bit of throttle control coming into play as Shane James following right in the tire tracks of Daniel Cummings Jr. Already 7 laps complete and 3 to go up front for Daniel Cummings Jr. What does Shane James do here, JP? Does he play it safe, or does he try and make the move on him here for the race win?
Right now, if I was James, I would try and play it safe, because the gap between him and third position has already grown to 4 car lengths. The question's going to be, what does James and his fellow teammates say to do? 2 laps to go this time by. Remember, this is 1 position potentially up for grabs if he can try and make the pass in the next 2 laps.
Shane James doing everything he can right there behind the 24 of Daniel Cummings Jr. I think you're right there, Justin. I think he's going to play it safe here. He's got quite a gap back to that third place car of Grant Riles, about 7/10 of a second. Back to the 16 car this time by. The white flag will be in the air for Daniel Cummings Jr. back behind those guys. Riles is clear of Joel Berkeley, and now Berkeley in a fight with the 46 car of Dylan Rafferty, but it's all for naught here as they work down the backstretch into 3 and 4 for the final time. Shane James to the bottom of Daniel Cummings Jr. off the top side of the racetrack. He'll win the first LCQ and transfer to the feature along with the 3 car Shane James here.
Good performance for these two, but a heck of a battle for third outside of the transfer spots. Riles and Berkeley went door to door. We're at the checker flag. 16 was able to come up with that advantage. Rafferty, Hopkins, and Brown also done for the night.
But luckily for those drivers that did not make it in here tonight there, JP, this is just an exhibition race. No points on the line, so they can come back next week and really put it all on the line. Maybe they learned something here tonight with their setup or with the racetrack, and they can come back and try and change it for the actual points-paying race. Here we go for the final LCQ of the night, the final 2 spots in the 20-car 50-lap feature event. It's going to be Blake Cannon on the front row. Alongside of him, the 32 car of Steven Wilson. Row number 2, the 2 car of Dylan Hauser. And outside of him, the 23 car of Casey Kerwin. Row 3 to 88 of Brian Wayant Jr. and the 311 of Austin Matthews. And final starter in this one. This is really the only accident that took somebody out in the heat races. Involved the 71 of Cole Cabry. He will roll off from the 7th starting spot. Remember when that happened there, JP? He was running 2nd, so we know the 71's got a good car tonight.
Yeah, he's definitely got some speed, and no, he was a little bit rattled after that incident. We'll see how he's able to channel that frustration to try and get through the whole field, because with that incident that happened in his respective heat race, he gets to start Shotgun Charlie to this field, which is going to be extremely difficult with how we've seen with some of these passes tonight, and the fact that Cannon and Wilson had spent much of their heat scrapping back and forth.
And remember, the 44 car of Cannon and the 2 of Hauser, I believe those two got together, if I'm not mistaken, in the heat race. And I'm pretty sure there was some words in the driver chat here in the server exchange between those two. They were not very happy with each other. And if we look back at the sprint cars there, Justin, those two, the 44 and the 2, they are some of the most aggressive drivers in this series, and they're not afraid to make a little contact here to make a pass. So that leads me to say that the 71 of Cole Cabrey might be in a good spot here if they get together.
And these are the cars, though, that can take a bit of contact, a bit of bumping and banging to the green flag, off and away. 10 laps in the final LCQ. Cannon sends it hard to the middle line. Wilson tries to ride in second. Hauser tries to run the bottom side. Great launch for the 2. He jumps up to P number 2. He tries to now attack the lead. Squeezes Wilson off the line. 3 wide, nearly for third position, off of 4.
And this will be interesting between your top 2 drivers, the 44 of Cannon, the 2 of Hauser. We were just talking about what happened there in the heat race between those two. The 32 car of Steven Wilson is right behind them there. If something were to happen between your top 2 top 2 drivers right now, 4th spot is the 88 of Brian Wyatt Jr., then Cole Cabrey underneath the 23 car of Casey Kerwin as they work through 1 and 2 and down the back straightaway.
Hauser tries to attack the bottom side, wants to take away the lead from one of the speed lap machines. Major slide for Hauser, up to the middle, crossover back. The slick Simsport machine on the top side. The Swindell speed lap machine sends him back for the crossover back on the bottom in 1 and 2. Cannon back up to the race lead. Hauser gets squeezed, contact with one of the VOR machines. Wilson bounces off the 2, pushes his way up to second.
He got into the side of Hauser, and that sent that car up the racetrack. Hauser got really tight, was not able to get that rear end of the race car around, and he's not going to be happy about that when he looks back to the inside of Steven Wilson. The spectator chat is going wild here in the server. Big slider down to 3 and 4. Hauser takes the 2nd spot back, and Wilson right back underneath him down to the start-finish line. Give the spot to Wilson that time by the stripe. More contacts. They make it through to 1 and 2 down the back straightaway.
4 laps to go this time by. Wilson loses some ground. Hauser once again with momentum. Slides it back up to the middle line in 3 and 4. Keep an eye on what's happening behind them. Up to 4th behind them. Cole Cabrey. He's closing in, one of the fastest cars on the racetrack as he tries to catch up to the battle for the bubble spot.
Yeah, he was 2/10 faster than all the drivers in front of him that last time by the stripe, so don't count the 71 car of Cole Cabrey out of it quite yet there. And Steven Wilson looking to track back down the 2 car of Dylan Hauser as they work back into 1 and 2. Hauser and Wilson both on the bottom. Meanwhile, the 44 of Cannon still up top. Hauser looking back to the inside. He'll drive it in deep into 3 and 4, slides it up the racetrack, almost gets into Cannon, and that's going to get momentum down the front stretch of the 32 car of Steven Wilson. 2 laps to go, and who's going to be the final driver in the feature tonight, JP? 2 laps to go.
Could go to anyone at this point. 3 drivers covered over a blanket. White flag this time by. Cannon defends the middle line, coming to the white. Hauser tries to run behind. Wilson trying to gain momentum on the bottom side of the racetrack. Loses some ground. He slides against the wall. Has to baby the throttle. Hauser middle. Cushion line for Cannon as he makes his way down the back.
Into 3 and 4 for the final time. It looks like Dylan Hauser is going to be in the clear, and the 44 car Blake Cannon, he will get the B-main number 2 win over Dylan Hauser. Steven Wilson comes home in the 3rd spot. Behind him, Cole Cabrey in P4. 5th was Casey Kerwin, Brian Wyatt Jr. in 6th, and the 311 of Austin Matthews will come home in the 7th spot. And with that, we have our 20-car field set. We're ready for 50 laps, but first, we've got a 5-minute warm-up session, and that's going to give us a chance to catch our breath, get ourselves something to drink. If you're watching at home on the iRacing Esports Network, make sure you go get yourself a fresh refreshment. We'll be right back here after a word from some of the sponsors. A quick advertisement commercial break here on the iRacing Esports Network. We'll be right back for the 50-lap main event here from Volusia Speedway Park. We're back here from Volusia Speedway.
Line more is C along with Bergeron with that speed you talked about. C and Bergeron starting to build up a lot of good runs on the bottom side of the corners.
And the 33 of Evan C will make the pass on the 00 of Kendall Tucker at the start-finish line. That's the battle for about 6th or 5th there. And the 33 car will clear him down the back straightaway. So it seems like maybe the bottom of the racetrack is starting to come in here late in the going. So we're not even halfway through this thing. Coming around this time by for 20 laps scored and still 30 to go. Still a lot of laps still left to be run on this track. You see Evan C carrying the left front tire down the back straightaway here.
Still trying to hold on for the time being. Tucker all the way up to the cushion, hits a bit of a bump. Brown makes it 3 wide. Bergeron gives the squeeze back to 2 line. Bergeron back to the bottom side, tries to go for the slide, tries to get clear of the 14 after the checkup. Forces Brown to get harder onto the gas down the back straightaway. Brown still prefers that line. Bergeron slams his way into Tucker, loses some track position. Here comes Philip with a bit of a run behind.
Yep, CJ Phillips trying to take advantage of that mistake out of the 12 car of Alex Bergeron. There goes the 00 of Tucker. He'll slide up across the nose of the 14 car of JD Brown. Down the back straightaway, 4 cars nose to tail as they work through 3 and 4. Multiple grooves being used. Contact between the 6 of Phillips. Oh my, how did they hang on to that one right there, JP?
Very, very close to hitting the inside pit wall, to say the very least, for Fields and company, but everyone else still shaping themselves out. Bergeron wants his spot back from Phillips. Phillips electing to run once again up towards the cushion. Bergeron slides up, can't get the run, shuffles out right in front of Davin Cardwell. Keep in mind the leaders, the top 4 separate by just 1.1 seconds up the track.
Yeah, having a really, really close battle up front. Those drivers at the front of the field running pretty close lap times here. James Eden still is the race leader. He's got a pretty solid gap, though, back to that number 80 car of Dylan Wilson. We'll take a look at what exactly that margin of lead is at the time. It's less than half a second, and looks like Wilson is really keeping them in check here. It's Edens, Wilson, Carr, Majulis, and Cardwell still the top 5. Then C, Tucker, Brown, Phillips, and Bergeron rounding out the top 10 here as we just crossed the halfway mark.
Lots of good racing to go, though. The question's going to be, can Wilson close in on Edens? Edens has dominated this entire preseason Thunder event tonight, so
Dedman and Dylan Hauser getting together here. Or maybe not getting together, but 2 separate incidents here between those two. It looks like Dedman goes around first, and then Hauser gets collected innocently here. It was coming down into turn 3, and it looks like Dedman has got hit from behind by the 44 car Blake Cannon, who's not making many friends tonight. And then Hauser, trying to avoid, gets hit by, I believe, possibly Jacob Fields. And we'll see if we can get a closer look on the replay here.
And you'll see contact, and this is not what the 000 wanted to see. And Hauser, secondary incident, gets spun around, and that's the trigger for the caution flag. But that just is, again, the according effect when you have that contact that is so easy to happen from behind, where there's nowhere to go when you have drivers trying to hold on the dirt.
There's that 52 car, James Edens right there, a 5-time winner last year with the World of Outlaws and NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series. He also had the most laps led, but ultimately finished up 3rd in the point standings here. So James Edens, man, he didn't have the greatest season last year with the late models. Ended up 12th, I believe, in the standings. So James, man, he has come out strong with a ton of momentum on his side after that 3rd place run of the championship and all those victories with the sprint cars. He has asserted himself as possibly a championship contender here. I know it's only preseason, but you got to start out with this preseason race. Guys that are running up front, that's probably going to lead to them running up front here next week as well.
Yeah, he's a very strong driver, mind you. We've seen it a lot with the sprint cars this season, the past couple campaigns. And it's difficult at times, mind you, to transfer the driving styles. We talked about many drivers who came over from this series, the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model World Championship, and went over and raced in the NOS Energy Drink sprint cars. And that was an adjustment period for a lot of those competitors, to the point where, Chase, when they did well, a lot of them, again, we talked about, were surprised at how well they were doing in the first time for some of them in the sprint cars in a World Championship Series. Edens has to be definitely impressed with what he's been doing here tonight in this late model, and this is going to bring some good momentum, I think, for when they go to Volusia for the points-paying race next week.
No doubt about it. We'll see if Edens can hang on for the remaining, 23 laps to go here. Edens back on the gas. He'll go to the middle of the racetrack here in turns 1 and 2. Dylan Wilson taking a peek to the inside down the back straightaway. Edens will clear him, but Wilson has been running really identical lap times to him this entire race. And we'll see if Wilson, he pulls up alongside him once again off turn number 4, but Edens will lead on lap number 29.
Coming out to 21 laps to go next time by. Edens all the way up the track. Wilson able to stick the middle line. Tries to build momentum. Once again, the 52 now moves to the middle on the defense. Following behind, Wilson tries to watch the back mirror. Wheels that car hard to the right. Edens stays alongside the wall down the front stretch. Battle is on, though, for third on back. Car now having to deal with Cardwell, Majulis, NC all battling under a blanket.
And Cardwell making his way towards the front here as he's looking to the outside of Blake Majulis. Now they're trying to go 3 wide in the center of turns 3 and 4. They will do it off turn number 4. 3 wide for third contact down the straightaway. They all hang on to it. It looks like Austin Carr might come out with third, but here comes Hayden Cardwell. And now Majulis edges out in front. Blake Majulis goes by 2 cars right there, and he's up to third. What a move by the 127 there, JP.
He's still trying to use the bottom side. There's a reason he's the defending champion. Big squeeze, big bumping. Back to 2 wide. Majulis loses the momentum. Carr tries to send it up to the top. Majulis, though, keeps his foot in it on the bottom of the track. Moves up to P3. His best position all night long. A +3 from his starting grid spot.
And we might have a race for the lead developing here between the 52 of Edens and the 80 car of Dylan Hauser. He's all over him as they work off of turn number 2 and down the back straightaway. James Edens doesn't really know which line's the best. He goes to the bottom of 1 and 2, back to the bottom in 3 and 4. And Wilson right through the middle. 2 car lengths separate those guys. And look who's coming up behind him. The 127 of Majulis and the 1 of Austin Carr. They're trying to make it a 4-car scrap for the lead here. We're just coming up to 15 laps to go tonight from Volusia Speedway Park. And this is getting good up front here, JP.
Wilson changing up his line down the back straightaway. This has been getting exciting. Keep in mind, Majulis has been able to reel in now this top 2 battle with significant back left rear damage. He is slowly creeping on in. He has a chance now to battle for second. Wilson nearly slapped the wall down the back straightaway.
Yeah, close call there for the 80 car of Dylan Wilson. He hangs on to the second spot. He runs a lane off the bottom from where James Edens is at. The 127 car of Blake Majulis is right there around the inside wall. Now Wilson tries that once again. Everyone in the top 3 now relegating down to the bottom of the racetrack. Meanwhile, the 1 of Austin Carr keeps that number 1 machine up on the top just in case they get kind of bottled up down there on the bottom. Oh, and Carr's got a problem. I'm not sure what happened to him right there, Justin, but he's way off the pace and to the back of the field.
He got squished into the fence by Cardwell down the back straightaway. Cardwell hit him with the right rear, and now Carr's lost all the track position. This has allowed the battle to break out now for 4th. Cardwell has been shuffled out to 4th, while C tries to hold on to that spot for the time being. Everyone back to the bottom, coming to 12 to go.
And James Edens starting to stretch the lead out once again. Last time by, he's got a half-second advantage. Now Majulis underneath of Dylan Wilson trying to make it a Swindell Speed Lab Esports 1-2 finish here tonight as he pulls up next to Dylan Wilson down the front straightaway. And Majulis keeps that left front tire right next to the inside wall. And Wilson shuffled up to the top side. Give that second spot to Majulis down the back stretch.
Still fighting on the bottom side, though. Wilson slides it way up towards the edge of the cushion. Majulis with a good run down the bottom. Gets second spot at the stripe. Still stuck in a side-by-side battle. Half a second back behind James Edens. Can he get cleared down the back? Run for Wilson. Just barely. Just about got clear in 3 and 4 once again. And this is also allowing C to also close on in. He's one of the fastest cars on the track.
Yeah, you see the 33 car of Evan C slowly creeping into the picture, but I think if the 127 of Blake Majulis can get by the 80 car of Dylan Wilson and clear him and allow that 127 to maybe open up the entry to the corner, he might have a shot at the win here tonight. But how hard will he go at it with his teammate here? He's got it cleared. Nope, not yet. The 80 car of Wilson says, I'm not done quite yet, as he pokes the nose back to the outside of Blake Majulis, down the front stretch and now down the back straightaway. And Edens is loving what he's seeing. It looks like the 127's finally got it clear in 3 and 4.
Yes, indeed he does. Majulis off of turn 4, just avoids the yellow tires for the pit road entry, forces a checkup from Wilson. He takes P2. Here comes C now to join the fight now for 3rd spot.
puts, man, you have got to use so much throttle, got to be so easy on the throttle with these cars, or else you'll spin the tires and the back end will kick around here. And Majula's now within a car length of his teammate as they work down the back straightaway, this time by less than 5 laps to go tonight from Volusia Speedway Park for the preseason Thunder event as they work off turn number 4, 5 laps to go this time by the stripe.
For the past couple laps, Majulis has been 0.5 of a second quicker than Eden's, carrying speed right here in 1 and 2. He's now on towards the back end of the 52. Will he try and make the pass on his teammates? The question. Falling tire to tire on the bottom of the racetrack just avoids the inside wall. 4 laps to go. Majulis forced to back off on entry.
Yeah, he tries the middle. Now he's going to dive it off the corner to the inside. Here comes Blake Majulis for the race lead to the inside of James Edens here. This time by 3 laps to go. New leader in 3 and 4. Edens trying to fight back on the outside. Oh my goodness. Majulis nearly hit the tires right there protecting the pit entrance. Somehow keeps it going side by side for the race lead down the back straightaway. Contact. They get together. The teammates get together. And this time by 2 laps to go.
Still scrapping Majulis on the bottom side. Edens on the top. Better run for the 52. He leads the lap. 2 laps to go. Majulis nearly taps the inside wall. Pushes up again. Forced to check up. Edens holds on single file. Back into 3 and 4 for the second and last time. White flag up in the air. This time by.
White flag is out for James Edens. Going to hang on for 1 more lap. He's got the defending series champion and his teammate right on the rear bumper down the back straightaway for the final time. James Edens looking to win the preseason Thunder event for the World Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model Series through 3 and 4. The Santa Rosa, California driver James Edens will get the win here tonight in the 52 car for Swindell Speed Lab Esports. It's a 1-2 finish for Speed Lab with Majulis in the second spot. Dylan Wilson comes home in the third position. Evan C. fourth, and Alex Bergeron will round out the top 5 from 12th. 5th place for Bergeron, Kendall Tucker 6th, Hayden Cardwell 7th, Davin Cardwell in 8th, J.D. Brown, and somehow Blake Cannon makes his way all the way back up to 10th place. What a run there. Those last 10 laps were very exciting between the 52 and the 127, JP, and we're going to talk to them here in a few minutes.
That was an absolutely exciting battle, bumping and banging, racing at its finest. What a battle, but keep in mind, just outside that top 10, CJ Phillips 11th. Dylan Hauser, you have to give credit to him, Chase, a couple times, got shuffled out to the back of the field with some spins, finished off in 12th position. McSwain, James, Dedman, Cummings Jr., Fields, Carr, Morgan, and Ducharme round out your entries tonight, Chase.
Yeah, but it was Edens, Majulis, Wilson, C, Bergeron, Tucker, Cardwell, and then those other 2 there in the back half of the top 10. Phillips, Hauser, McSwain, James, Dedman, Cummings, Fields, Carr, Morgan, Ducharme. That was the full race rundown there for this preseason Thunder event. And just waiting at this point in time now, Justin, for the drivers that finished up there in at least the top 3, maybe the top 5, to come into the team speak so we can maybe get a word with them and hear their thoughts on the race here tonight, especially with some of these different rule changes with the double file restarts, along with the do not count caution laps. Tonight, I think we saw some really good racing. A couple of cautions that maybe could have been avoided, obviously, there, Justin, but some really good racing, and it gives us something really, really easy to look forward to next Monday night.
And when it comes to these late models, a lot of times, Chase, whenever I've had the chance to broadcast races with these machines, they put on shows exactly like this, that have you on the edge of your seats all the way to the checker flag because of their ability to make door-to-door contact, compared to the difficulty of that, of course, with the sprint car where you cannot touch wheels. It was an exciting race tonight, and it has me absolutely excited to see how the first race in the points paying schedule goes, because a lot of these teams have showed they have great speed, but some of the big teams, I think, absolutely have to go to the drawing board with some of the difficulties they had in this feature tonight.
I definitely agree with you. Tonight really proved who was going to be a contender for this championship here in 2020. And for some of these other guys, maybe they just had an off night that just did not work out for them. For the likes of, maybe Kevin Dedman, Austin Carr obviously was running up front, but finished way back in the 18th spot. Or a guy like Hayden Cardwell got shuffled there towards the back of the field. Justin, I'm going to let you take over here and get Blake Majulis to interview here. I'm going to try and see if I can get a hold of James Edens, as he has not joined the broadcast booth here. Actually, there he is right there. He just joined in as I said that, so we'll drag him on into the channel. And Justin, actually, you're going to have to do that there, as I do not have the permissions for that.
Yes,
and it looks like, there we go. We got James Edens here in the channel for the broadcast. And James, the first, 40 laps, maybe 45 laps, pretty much uncontested there. Dylan Wilson gave you a couple shots there towards the middle part of the race, but for the most part, you were able to run away and hide with this thing. But then your teammate, the defending series champion, Blake Majulis, came on strong there. You guys made contact, nearly went around there on the backstretch, but you come home with the preseason Thunder win. You've got to be feeling really good, especially after the campaign you have with the sprint cars, and now winning this preseason race with the late models. Your confidence got to be an all-time high.
Oh yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it's not the first points race, but yeah, that's definitely a big boost of confidence. We've had our ups and downs in the late models, and we had our strong runs and some really bad ones. So to start the season off like that is amazing. So hopefully we can keep it up now the pressure's on.
The pressure is definitely on. We'll see if you can move forward with this progress and pull it into a points-paying race. James, what was the hardest part about this place tonight? In my opinion, after seeing all the races I've seen in this World Championship Series, this feature race seemed to start out with a lot more moisture than what we saw in the sprint cars, and I believe from what we saw in the late models last year. So it really made this track change a whole lot more than normal throughout this 50-lapper.
Yeah, for sure. They did some work for the track updates, this season. They don't dry out as fast, so I think we got less practice time than we had for late models last year. So we're gonna see some more of that, some more tacky to start, and probably be changing to 3, 4, 5 lines maybe through the feature, and hopefully it puts on some good racing.
And James, we saw something different here tonight. I was surprised to see 2 of these things. We had double foul restarts there towards the beginning of the race before we had a couple of accidents, and do not count cautions there throughout that race. 2 huge changes that drivers and the fans of the series have been asking for a long time. Really, really cool to see that now implemented into the series.
Yeah, that's awesome. The late model stuff, it's double foul restarts there, I think, until after the 3rd or 4th caution, then it goes back single. And yeah, DNC, man, that made the race seem like it was taking forever. When you're leading, you're used to laps kicking off under caution, and then all of a sudden they don't. Man, it's nerve-wracking out there.
I'm sure it was nerve-wracking with the guy that won the $10,000 check last year to your inside on that last couple laps there. But James, great job tonight, man. We'll look forward to watching you next week here back at Volusia for the first points-paying race. Who do you got to thank for getting the job done for you here tonight?
Yeah, I just got to thank all the Speed Lab guys and, all the sponsors over there, K1 Race Gear, Bell Helmets, Race Electronics, HMS Motorsports, South Bay Partners. Just a big shout out to all those guys, and unfortunately you guys couldn't see it on the broadcast tonight, but we got a beautiful looking race car, so hopefully we can do it again next week so you guys get a view of it.
No doubt about that. Car does look good there from Down Under Graphics. James Edens, the win this evening was the 127 car of Blake Majulis, and he will be standing by here with Justin Prince. And Justin, take it away.
Yes, indeed, Blake. First things first, heck of a drive for you. Had to deal with damage to the back end after one of the caution flags. How was that car handling for you in the final half of this race?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what, right in the beginning there, I put a setup I was working on, and I wasn't too sure about it. And right in the early stages, I just could tell I had insane speed. And then I got Wilson got tight there on the restart, and the car was just ruined from there. I mean, I was lucky to hold my position. I was about to just let everyone go by because usually damage is so critical in these things. And, I thought for sure I'd go to last, and I couldn't believe I was hanging in there in 4th or whatnot. And then that restart, I got put on the bottom, and all of a sudden, here I come. I couldn't believe that, and just rolled bottom there, and I had immense speed with damage, too. The thing was driving great with damage. So, God only knows what would have happened without damage. I would have loved to see how it would have played out, but either way, I got the biggest grin on my face knowing we had that much speed with damage for sure.
And not only that, a heck of a battle between you and your fellow teammate. Talk us through those final laps where you're bumping and banging doors throughout the final 5 laps.
Yeah, well, I caught up to him and I was trying to think about what I was going to do. I could see I was catching him a lot off of 4, and I was getting a little tight in turn 1 there, and I was kind of seeing what I could do, and I ended up getting a run on him off of 2, and I got into him a little bit, hoping I'd break his momentum, but he was just too good in the middle there. It's hard to carry momentum once you get on these slick tracks, and the middle just ended up being too good, and I ended up hitting the turn 4 barrier there and ruined my left front, so that probably killed a lot of speed too there in the last 5 laps. But James ran a great race, so.
In your opinion, what do you need to adjust, whether it's driving wise or car wise, for next week when the points start getting totaled up?
Honestly, I'm not gonna. I don't think I need to change anything. It's just I wish I qualified a little better. Qualifying always makes your job a lot easier. But I'm not worried. I'm actually excited for next week. It's going to be a great series. Can't thank all you guys for putting it on.
With that, anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Yeah, just got to thank my whole team, Swindell Speed Lab. James on the win. He did great. Congrats to him. Sim Seats, Design 75, Jeremy Ray for the paint. ML Performance, Matt Logan. You guys for broadcasting, thank you very much. My girlfriend Tia for everything she does. Blake Neer for spotting. And everybody that watched, thank you.
Congratulations on the second place finish tonight. Your family
Thank you,
members, I know, were watching too, Blake, and are absolutely excited after this one.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
That was Blake Majulis coming home in second tonight. Chase, back over to you.
Yeah, and it looks like we do not have Dylan Wilson or Evan C., our third or fourth place finishers here in the team speak. We'll have to go down to our fifth place finisher. That was Alex Bergeron, and he now joins us here in the broadcast booth. Alex, the two guys that finished right there in front of you, not able to make it in here, so we'll move on to you. A solid run for you. Did not really have the best heat race here this evening. Kind of got shuffled back there and started 12th in the main event and made your way up into the solid top 5 finish. Fresh off that NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series Championship, do you think you have something for these guys here in 2020 with the late models?
Oh, absolutely. We were fast in qualifying, qualified P4. Austin there on the heat race, he had a good jump on the start there, and we were going side by side, and I had to slide him up in 1 and 2. He had the run back, and down the front straightaway, we had a little bit of an echo there. We didn't really touch, but it seemed like it, and it kind of took my car outside there, and Tucker got the run there, and there was nothing we could have done there, so we finished P3 there in the heat race, but we were fast in the race. We just we were behind all these guys, and they had some incidents there and some yellow flags. Went to single file racing, and then the track started to open up there at the end, and we were able to show our pace there.
In your opinion, as a veteran in these World Championship Series, 3 years in the sprint cars and now 2 in the late models, do you think that this field that has been assembled for the late model series might be the most competitive that we've seen in any World Championship so far?
Oh, definitely. It's super tough this year. Everyone is so fast. Anyone could win a race. But all the top 10 guys are all so close to each other. So it's all about track position. Look, me and Tucker Cardwell there. Some of the best guys out here. So I think we got some speed for them. We just have to have that track position and try to have a little bit of luck in the heat races.
And piggybacking off that same question, being a veteran, big changes. I asked James Edens about it. I think you've been around the same time as he has, or maybe even a year longer than him. The do not count cautions being implemented into the series. How much of a change does that make as a driver? Because James said this race seemed like it lasted forever.
Yeah, it did. Every time we have a caution, we revert back to, the position we had, prior to that caution on the lap. So, the laps are not counting. So when you have caution, it's a bit longer, but actually makes for a lot of good racing.
Well, Alex, great job tonight. 12th place start to a 5th place finish. Who do you got to thank for getting the job done for you tonight in the top 5?
As always, Team EBRE Sports, Jason, Rebecca, an awesome job tonight all week long, and the past few weeks we've been working hard on this, and we're not doing much late models, but we're up here, and we're gonna compete a lot this year and try to get the win here in the championship. But I gotta thank them, all of our partners, CSI Shocks, Bilogic App, BK Designs, Smart Ring Farm Equipments, everyone that supports us, all the fans out here, and enjoying a good show tonight. And my dad for watching as always, and you guys for doing an awesome job broadcasting, and World of Outlaws and iRacing for putting the show up. It's a pleasure to be here, and can't wait for the first round.
Very well said. Well, that was Alex Bergeron ending up 5th tonight. Justin, we saw some fantastic action here this evening, and the quest for $10,000 begins next week right back here at Volusia Speedway Park next Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. It is going to be an absolute dogfight if it's anything like we saw tonight, man. I am so excited for this series to kick off and start, obviously paying out points and paying out money for these guys. That's when everything's on the line and these guys start taking everything extremely serious. A lot of these guys, man, they train hours upon hours throughout the week getting ready for these races. And I know a couple of these guys that only run late models, specifically, they have been just chomping at the bit ready to get ready for this thing.
Absolutely, and that's been kind of the atmosphere we've seen from some of the drivers, even at the end of the sprint car season, who are competing in this championship. They're ready to hit the racetrack again and fight for another chance to win the $10,000 grand prize and a chance to go to the World of Outlaws banquet. It's been a heck of a start to the preseason. Now the question's going to be, again, who can carry that speed to June 22nd for the start of the regular season campaign? Based on what we heard from some of the post-race comments, I think a lot of teams are in really good shape. If I was some of the drivers, be very afraid of what we've seen from Swindell Speed Labs in terms of speed tonight, especially with that 127 being the quickest car on the track with damage.
Yeah, that was pretty scary to hear him say that he was still really fast with the damage that he had there. There's a quick look at the schedule. So obviously tonight was June 15th. That was an exhibition race. Next Monday night, Volusia Speedway Park back here for the first points-paying race. And then Lernerville, Limaland, Eldora, Lernerville, Kokomo, Fairbury, Knoxville, Williams Grove, and the dirt track at Charlotte. One more quick question for you, Justin, before we close it out. Really, really great schedule we have put together there. A mix between quarter-mile bull rings and the big half miles really keeps these guys on their toes all year long.
It's not going to be easy for these drivers. They're going to be tested every single race. We've seen it with the sprint cars. We've seen it in the history of this series. Whoever is able to carry the most momentum and consistency is likely to be the champion. The question is going to be, who will that be in 2020? We'll have to wait and see starting next week.
You are exactly right. Next Monday night, ladies and gentlemen, come back here on the iRacing Esports Network where we kick off the 2020 campaign for the World of Outlaws Morton Buildings Late Model World Championship Series here on iRacing.com. For Justin Prince and Tyler Maxson, my name is Chase Rodman. We'll see you next Monday night for the first race of this series. It's going to be a good one. We can't wait to see you there.